Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, February 21st. A cold morning here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Snow is winding down over the Outer Banks of North Carolina right now. They had some overnight snows in the eastern part of North Carolina all the way up to southeastern Virginia. Some 4 inches of snow fell not too far from Raleigh in the overnight hours. Again, that's winding down right now, and it looks like basically a cold and dry day setting up for the Mid-Atlantic region. We have moderation coming in temperatures over the weekend, and it turns milder again early next week. And this has been the general pattern for the winter season, where we have a couple of days of below normal cold, then moderation, and then a little bit of a warm-up ahead of the next precipitation maker. In this case, looks like a cold frontal system will cause some rain showers in much of the Mid-Atlantic region by the time we get to Monday night and Tuesday. There's another threat for later next week, Wednesday night, Thursday time frame that has still some questions about it. It will be a stronger system later next week as compared to early next week, and there will be cold air mass certainly following that system, and whether or not some of that cold air seeps into the Mid-Atlantic region while the precipitation is still occurring is still not 100% clear right now, but it's certainly something we'll focus in on over the next several days. Thought I'd start off here with just kind of a frustrating map for snow lovers in the I-95 corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. This is actually the 0Z Canadian model forecast. Last night's Canadian model forecast of total snow over the next 10 days. So it includes the overnight snowfall in the Carolinas and southeastern Virginia. Just look at this gap right here of amazing location here. This is how it's been all winter long in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Again, this is the 10-day forecast of total snowfall from last night's Canadian model. Lots of snow upstate New York, all the way up into New England, especially interior New England. And this includes last night's snowfall, the overnight snowfall in southeastern Virginia and eastern North Carolina. But for the next 10 days, according to this forecast, another frustrating period for snow lovers in and around D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Well, here's the current surface map, and this high pressure system out over the middle of the country will really dominate the weather across not only the eastern half of the nation, but much of the nation in itself. There's very little precipitation right now across the continental U.S. A little bit of snow still falling over some of the outer banks here. That's all pulling away right now, and basically cold high pressure with light north winds now across the Mid-Atlantic region, and well below normal places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and Philly. Probably highs in the middle 30s today. Same in New York City. That's some 10 degrees or so below normal for this time of the year. But as has been the case, cold won't last all that long. We have some moderation coming on Saturday and Sunday, and by the time Monday and Tuesday roll around, we'll be back to a mild, probably the 50s for highs in the I-95 corridor region. Again, ahead of the next precipitation maker, which in this case will be a cold frontal system causing some rain showers Monday night and Tuesday. And here's that dry look to the radar map. This is from WSI's and telecast.com. Not much action going on at all across the continental U.S. Again, this low pressure area pulling away right now. A little bit of snow maybe lingering along the outer banks, but all that's pulling away again around 4 inches or so just to the northeast of Raleigh in North Carolina in the overnight hours. But look at this, basically a dry scene here across the nation as we close out the work week, all dominated by high pressure right in the middle part of the nation. It's certainly colder than normal throughout much of the eastern half of the U.S. Well, let's take a kind of a big picture look here over the next several days, starting off with the ensemble run of the GFS at 0Z last night. We'll go ahead for several days and kind of encompass a time period for that pretty significant storm possibility for the latter part of next week. We're starting off the day here lower than normal heights across the Mid-Atlantic region here. That's associated with that low pressure area now moving off the eastern seaboard. Continue to have this pattern here over Alaska. where it's been below normal temperature-wise for much of the winter season. Very cold winter in Alaska. Basically low pressure or trough over Alaska for much of the time this winter, with higher pressure just to the south. And we talked about the EPO, teleconnection index, called the Eastern Pacific Oscillation, being mostly positive this winter season. And this is the pattern, with low pressure over Alaska, high pressure over the North Pacific, and in between you have this flow of air coming right from the west to the east off the northern Pacific into western Canada that tends to bottle up the cold air over Alaska. Not all the time, but certainly much of the time that has been the case. And as we move forward here, we will continue to see low pressure over Alaska and over Greenland. We haven't had high latitude blocking where you see higher heights to normal over places like Greenland, and it looks like this kind of a pattern may continue for the most part over the next week to 2 weeks or so. Let's move forward here and watch what happens here as we start to focus in on that potential storm for the latter part of next week. Here we are now onto Sunday. Moderation in temperatures in the mid-Atlantic region throughout much of the east. That strong high pressure system that's over the middle of the country shifts to the eastern seaboard and pushes off the coast by the early part of next week. We get milder again here in the east on Monday and Tuesday with the 50s most likely. Now let's keep moving forward here. Notice continuation of below normal heights over Alaska and Greenland as we get into the early part of next week. And then what we'll start to see, deep upper level trough over the middle part of the nation. Here we are now by Tuesday night going into the day on Wednesday night, and here we are now by Thursday morning. And again, a kind of a similar pattern of what we've had much of the winter season, with the center of the low pressure areas both at the surface and in the upper atmosphere to the north and west of the I-95 corridor region, right in here. And in other words, the I-95 corridor region has often been in the warm sector, and right now the odds favor that for this system coming next Wednesday night and Thursday. Still a little too early to set that in stone, but again, a deep upper level trough, but situated a little bit to the north and west of the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor, so odds favor rain, but still several days away. And notice a continuation of lower than normal heights over Greenland to Alaska with higher than normal heights here, so much the same as what we've had over the past several weeks here, but again, still a little bit of time. If this just shifts a little bit to the south and east over the next several days, it could become even more interesting for the Wednesday night, Thursday time frame here in the eastern part of the Mid-Atlantic region. Well, now let's walk through the operational run of the 0Z GFS model. Storm winding down over the Outer Banks right now, the eastern part of North Carolina, and cold high pressure in control of the eastern half of the nation. Below normal temperatures today. That high slides to the east on Saturday. Moderation in temperatures probably in the middle 30s in much of the I-95 corridor region today, in the Mid-Atlantic region, and then perhaps the mid to upper 40s on Saturday afternoon. Let's keep moving forward. That high eventually works its way to the eastern seaboard by Sunday afternoon, and then off the coast ahead of the next precipitation maker, which again will see low pressure sliding up across the to the north and west of the I-95 corridor region over the eastern Great Lakes. In other words, we'll be in the warm sector here in D.C., Philly, New York City, probably 50 plus degrees on Monday and Tuesday with some rain showers. This low pressure area will also have a cold frontal system associated with it, and that will combine with that low pressure system at the surface to cause some rain showers Monday night and Tuesday. And then we'll have to watch for the next storm system. Again, odds right now favor rain along the eastern seaboard here, with low pressure going to the north and west of the immediate I-95 corridor region. This is the forecast map for Wednesday night. This would result in a snowstorm over the Great Lakes and maybe the interior Northeast. Let's keep moving forward. And actually dumps a significant amount of rain on the eastern part of the Mid-Atlantic region, but a significant amount of snow on the northwest colder side of this storm system. This is the forecast map for Thursday morning, and certainly one thing's for sure, following that there'll be another blast of very cold air moving into the Mid-Atlantic region throughout the eastern U.S. by the time we close out the week. Next week, we're talking Friday, February 28th, cold, windy day on the heels of that system. Again, pretty strong storm headed to the northeastern quadrant of the nation next Wednesday night and Thursday. Right now, odds favor it inland to the north and west of the immediate I-95 corridor region. In other words, we'll be in the warm sector in Philly, D.C., New York City, maybe a significant snowstorm for the Great Lakes region. Several days to monitor that, and we'll certainly monitor that here at Perspecta.com, PerspectaWeather.com over the next several days. That's it for now. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.